Howdy, my name is Ian Bates. I'm currently a junior trying to get my degree in anthropology and a minor in business.
My name is Omar Kodili. I'm a junior at UTSA pursuing a degree in finance.
My name is Mason Varner. I'm going for a degree in business and marketing at UTSA.
And I'm Brock O'Rourke, and I'm also trying to obtain a degree in marketing here at UTSA.
Alright, so we decided to do an article from the New York Times dealing with the water down in California. It's been an issue for the past 5 years, but recently gotten very severe. There's some communities that are 60 to 120 days of actually being fully dry, so they did have to start up a plan. The original plan consisted of 4 tiers or brackets that you fell into in between 10% and 35%, based on September of 2014, how much water your community used. There's a big kind of ruckus about a lot of complaints and such, just dealing with 1 month, because obviously water fluctuates how much each month. So they changed it to a total of 9 tiers in between July, August, and September of 2014. And since they did make the original plan, it kind of put people into a more fair tier, such as Los Angeles. They were at a 10% cutback. They did better with the original plan, and so they got put into an 8% cutback. Cities as San Francisco was in 20%. They got bumped down to 16%. There was communities that did bad. Sacramento and Beverly Hills, they used the vast amount of water consumption, and so they're up in higher tiers, 35, 36%.
Who's affected by this? Energy resources are affected. California has about 25% of their energy coming from hydroelectric dams, which is now being minimal down to 10%. And you also have agriculture is being affected. Small towns, farming towns are being diminished by 50% of their population because there's no more jobs in those areas. Central Valley, one of the places where the person Sean Stevenson, who had to demolish 500 acres of his crops and citrus trees, which is over $100,000. There's also another man in the current county who had to drill 2,500 feet down just to find water. Other people being affected are just people in general that buy produce. So the price of produce is going up, and it's also making it rarer to find certain foods. On top of that, there's over 17,100 people who have lost their jobs in the agriculture field. The gray box matters. Some of the gray box matters are medical marijuana. Is it pushing the boundaries to allocate water away from medical marijuana because of the fact that it's so prominent in the region and so many people use it for medicinal purposes? Some other ones are small towns. Once again, back to small towns. Is it ethical to move water away from all these small towns to have this high amount of job loss? Another one would be tapping into groundwater. Is it ethical to tap into the groundwater? Is that pushing the boundaries between black and white? Because down the line it could have a huge environmental backlash. Another one is fining. People are getting fined, which are causing people to push the boundaries to going and using their neighbor's water. All these things are part of the break.
Agriculture is a large part of California's economics. The water shortages places a strain on this. Because of this, they're not able to produce as many crops. Because they're not able to produce as many crops, they're not able to make as many sales, leaving them with not enough income to pay their employees. This creates a higher rate of unemployment in California. Financially overall, California is hurt by this water shortage. Because the water shortage places these large strains on California, they really want to make sure that the conservation laws are being enforced. To do this, they've hired officials to drive around and make sure everyone is following these laws. They have people who will come by and take pictures if you're using water at the wrong times, not using the appropriate amounts of water, or if you're overwatering when you shouldn't be. People who break these laws are subject to fines totaling over $10,000. There's been many cases where people are stealing the water from their neighbors' houses and using their water instead. Lawsuits have filed because of this for fines that are being fined to the wrong people. If you edit that part, then we can cut it off and shit.
My partner briefly touched on some moral and ethical issues, and I'm here to cover them in a little more detail. A quote directly from the California's governor is, "Every day this drought goes on, we're going to really have to tighten the screws on what people are doing." Is this right to do? Is it okay to tighten the screws on what people are doing and look into their personal life every day and make judgments about if they're making the right decisions? A lot of people might take this personally and say it's violating their rights. Also, farmers and ranchers are being forced to cut back on cultivating when that's also taking away from their profits and their family. If they're being forced to cut back on cattle and cultivating their own land, then how are they going to supply for their family and for themselves? Also, there's a huge problem with the medical marijuana industry. A lot of water gets allocated to these plants, up to 6 gallons per day for each plant, up to 150 days is what these plants need. And people are benefiting from the medical marijuana big time, and I don't know if it's going to be okay for them to just cut back on the industry and stop growing these plants. It could affect their life in a very negative way. Also, it's another moral and ethical issue is with the jobs that it's taking away. It's taking a lot of revenue away from the state and from everyone there in general. And it's just not, damn, see, the fucking jobs, dude. I'm not talking about the jobs.
Well, then you're good.
Yeah, fuck the jobs.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Key takeaways.
The key takeaways from this is obviously that California is currently experiencing one of the most major water droughts in U.S. history. Also, California is going to have to conserve as much as they can. Even though that they've been conserving for the last 5 years, they're going to have to step up their water conservation in order to save their state, honestly. The drought has affected California economically and financially, and if this continues to go on in the path that it does, honestly, I'm not sure if California will be able to sustain its mass industries from business and agriculture. The conclusion, with California experiencing such severe water shortages, an effective way to conserve water is being developed. Although the officials right now say that there's not much they can do besides conserve, they say that in the future they need to hire new officials that know more about this water conservation and can help California stabilize back into, you know, what it used to be.
Some of the questions that we came up with concerning drought in California is there a more effective way for California to conserve the water? Can the Senate and House, can they actually come together and come up with conclusions to solve this problem? What do you think would happen if California did run out of water? Do you think the steep penalty for overusage of water is ethically fair? As well as if you moved to California today, do you think you would be able to adapt to the strict water usage rules? What difficulties would it impose on your current daily routine? Another question is, as a political figure in California, how would you go about addressing the state and water shortages?
Thank you very much.